I'm 85 years old, and I have lived alone in this house for the last 11 years. Just me. And I want to tell you something I've learned in those 11 years that almost nobody says out loud. Living alone is not what's dangerous. Living alone can be one of the great freedoms of a long life, and I treasure mine. What's dangerous is living alone and quietly ignoring the small signals your life is sending you. Because the things that take people our age, the things that land us in a hospital bed or worse, are almost never sudden and dramatic. They are small. They are quiet. They whisper for weeks or months before they ever shout. And when you live by yourself, there is no one across the table to notice the whisper, but you. I learned this the hard way, by watching it happen to people I loved, and very nearly by letting it happen to me. The trouble with living alone is not the quiet. I have grown to love the quiet. The trouble is that the quiet has no one in it to raise an eyebrow and say, "That doesn't seem like you." In a house full of people, 100 small things get caught every single day without anyone even trying. When you live alone, you have to become that watchful person for yourself, and most of us were never taught how. So tonight I'm going to give you 6 warning signs. 6 signs that if you are past 70 and you live on your own, you must never wave away as nothing. I have watched good, proud, independent people miss every one of them, not because they weren't sharp, but because there was no one there to say, "That doesn't seem right." And I'll tell you now, the 6th sign is the one almost nobody recognizes. It is the most dangerous of them all, and it is dangerous for a reason that will surprise you, because it is the sign that hides the other 5. So you stay with me all the way to the end, because that 6th one may be the most important thing you hear all year. I know some of you are already thinking, but I'm fine. I managed just fine on my own. I thought the very same thing. And I want you to keep your independence with everything you've got. But freedom without watchfulness is exactly how careful people slip into trouble. So let's keep watch together. Here is the first sign. The first sign is the one people are most ashamed of, and that shame is precisely what makes it so deadly. It's a fall, even a small one. A friend of mine, I'll call him Walter, was a strong, capable man. One evening he lost his footing in the kitchen and went down. He wasn't really hurt, just a bruise and a bruised pride. So he told no one. He was embarrassed, and more than that, he was afraid, because he knew that if his children heard he was falling, they'd start talking about him moving out of his home. So he kept it to himself. 3 weeks later, he fell again. This time he broke his hip, and because he lived alone, he lay on that kitchen floor for a day and a half before anyone found him. I tell you Walter's story not to frighten you, but because it is so common, it is almost ordinary. A fall is the single most common way that an independent older person suddenly stops being independent. And here is the cruel part. The fall itself is often not the real injury. The real injury is the hours spent alone on the floor afterward, unable to reach a telephone. That is what we are truly guarding against here. Not the stumble, the being alone and unreachable when it happens. Here is what you must understand. A first fall, even a little one, even a near fall, even a dizzy spell when you stand up too fast, is not nothing. It is your body's first warning, knocking on the door. And people hide that warning because they're terrified of losing their independence. But do you see the cruelty in it? Hiding the fall is the very thing that ends up costing them the independence they were trying to protect. So promise me this, you never hide a fall. You tell your doctor about even the small ones, and about the dizzy spells too, because those can come from your blood pressure, your medications, your eyes, your ears, and many of those causes can be fixed. You put grab bars by the bath and the toilet. You clear the loose rugs off your floors. And you get yourself one of those medical alert buttons to wear, so you are never lying on a floor waiting. Telling someone about a fall isn't weakness. It is the strongest, smartest thing you can do. And let me say something to the proud ones among you, because I am one of you. I know that wearing an alarm button can feel like surrender. I resisted it for years myself, but I have come to see it differently now. That little button is not a white flag. It is the very thing that lets you keep living in your own home, on your own terms, for years longer than you otherwise could. It is not the end of your independence. It is what protects it. The people who refuse every bit of help in the name of independence are so often the ones who lose it the fastest. And the second sign is even quieter, because this one you can hide even from yourself. The second sign happens at your own kitchen table, 2 or 3 times a day, and almost no one catches it in themselves. You've stopped eating proper meals. There was a woman in my neighborhood, a widow, I'll call her Ruth. When her husband was alive, she cooked beautiful suppers every night. But cooking for one person, night after night, started to feel pointless to her. So it became tea and toast. Then it became just tea. She wasn't trying to lose weight, but the weight came off her anyway, and with it went her strength, until one day she got so weak and lightheaded she had a fall of her own. And the worst part was how reasonable each small step had seemed at the time. No single skipped meal is a tragedy. It was the slow, sensible feeling slide, one easy choice after another, that quietly wore her down to where a single stumble could break her. This is what living alone does if you let it. Cooking for one feels like too much trouble for too little reward. But not eating real food, losing weight without meaning to, not drinking enough water through the day, these things drain the strength right out of you. They cloud your thinking, and they quietly set the stage for every other problem on this list. So don't you let "it's only me" turn into "it's not worth the bother." You are worth a proper meal. You keep easy, nourishing food in the house, so there's no excuse on a tired day. You eat on a schedule, at regular times, even on the days you don't feel hungry. You keep a glass of water near you, and you sip it all day long. And if your appetite has disappeared, or you've lost weight without trying to, you tell your doctor, because that can be a sign of something they can treat. And whenever you can, share a meal with another person, because food always tastes better and goes down easier in good company. And please do not overlook the water. This one catches people by surprise. As we get older, our bodies stop telling us when we are thirsty the way they once did. So you can be dried out and not feel a drop of thirst. And being short of water will make you dizzy, will muddle your thinking, and will put you on the floor faster than almost anything else on this earth. So you do not wait until you feel thirsty. You keep that glass nearby, and you sip from it all day long, whether you feel like it or not. Small habits like that are what keep a person upright. The third sign you can measure with nothing but a calendar. Ask yourself one simple question. When did I last have a real conversation, out loud, with another living soul? If you have to stop and think about it, that's the third sign. I knew a man, George, kind as they come, who lived alone after his wife passed. And the days began to slide by, where the only time he used his voice was to talk back to the television. One day became 3, 3 became a week, and he never even noticed it happening, because it happened so slowly. Loneliness is not just a sad feeling, my friend. It does real harm to the body. It raises your blood pressure. It dims your memory and your thinking. It pulls your spirits down into a dark place. And the worst of it is how slowly it creeps, so gradually that you don't notice your whole world quietly shrinking down to the four walls around you. The doctors have studied this, and they will tell you that deep loneliness can be as hard on the body as smoking cigarettes. I know that sounds impossible, but it is true. We were never built to spend our days in silence. We were built to be among our people. So when your world starts to shrink, you have to push back against it on purpose, because it will never push back on its own. And I'll tell you, this third sign feeds straight into that sixth sign I promised you, so hold on to it. So you treat connection like medicine, because that's exactly what it is. You put it on a schedule, a standing phone call every morning with a friend or one of your children, a regular coffee, your church, the senior center, a neighbor on the porch, a volunteer who visits. Aim for one real conversation every single day. And if getting out of the house has become hard, then you let people come to you. Picking up that phone and saying, "I'd love some company," is not a weakness. It is you taking care of yourself. And if you are sitting there thinking, "But I don't want to impose on anyone. I don't want to be the one who is always calling," let me tell you a secret about people. The folks who love you are not waiting to be bothered by you. They are waiting to be needed by you. Most of them simply don't know how to begin, the very same as you. So you be the brave one. You make the first call. 9 times out of 10, you will find the person on the other end was lonely too, and just as glad to hear your voice as you are to hear theirs. The fourth sign you'll be tempted to laugh off, the way we all do, right up until the day it stops being funny. It's the little slips, the ones you're starting to cover up. A woman I knew, Helen, sharp as a tack her whole life, started leaving the stove on. Once she found the kettle boiled dry and black. She'd take her pills and then, an hour later, not remember whether she'd taken them and take them again. And she hid every bit of it, told not a soul, because the fear underneath it was the same fear Walter had. If anyone knew, they'd put her in a home. Now hear me carefully, because I don't want to frighten you. A little forgetfulness happens to every single one of us, at every age. Losing your keys is not a crisis. But when you live alone, there is no one there to notice that the stove was left on, or that the pills were missed or doubled. And hiding those slips, out of fear, is exactly what lets a small, manageable thing grow into a dangerous one. So you do the opposite of hiding, you get it looked at. Because here is the good news most people never hear. Many causes of memory trouble in older folks are simple and reversible. The wrong mix of medications, dehydration, a sluggish thyroid, an infection, a vitamin you're low on. These can be found and fixed, and while you're at it, you use a weekly pill organizer with the days marked on it. You get a stove that shuts itself off. You keep a calendar and written notes, and you tell your doctor and one person you trust. Catching this early is how you keep your independence. It is never how you lose it. And I want to take that fear, the fear of the home, and hold it up to the light for just a moment, because it runs underneath so much of this. So many of us hide our troubles for that one reason. We believe that if we admit to a single weakness, the door to our own house will be taken from us. But it works exactly backward. The small problems we hide are the ones that grow into the big problems that truly do cost us our homes. The small problems we share are the ones that get solved, quietly, so that we can stay right where we are. Honesty is not the thing that takes your home away. Honesty is the thing that keeps it. The fifth sign wears a disguise. It dresses itself up as just getting old, and it almost never is. you've lost interest. There was a man named Frank, a wonderful gardener, grew tomatoes that would make you weep. And one summer he just stopped. The garden went to weeds. He stopped seeing his friends. He started sleeping half the day. And when anyone asked, he'd shrug and say he was just tired, just old. What's the point anymore? Sleeping more and more, not caring about the things you used to love. A heaviness, a sadness that settles over you and will not lift. People our age get told that this is simply what old age feels like, so we should just accept it. I am here to tell you that is wrong. That is very often depression, and depression in older people is common and real, and thank goodness very treatable. It is not weakness. It is not self-pity. It is not a flaw in your character. It is an illness like any other, and it responds to help. So please, hear me on this one, because I mean it with my whole heart. If the joy has quietly drained out of your days, you do not have to grit your teeth and tough it out alone in that house. You tell your doctor, plainly and honestly, exactly how you've been feeling. You tell a person you trust. Help truly works, and many people get their lives back. You are not a bother for needing it. You are a human being who deserves to feel well again. And let me draw one line clearly for you because it matters. There is a natural sorrow that comes with a long life. We grieve the people we have lost. We miss the work we used to do and the body we used to have. That ache is real. It is not an illness, and you never need to apologize for it. But when that sorrow stops lifting at all, when it flattens every single day into the same shade of gray, when you lose interest in everything, even the people and the things you have always loved, that is something more than ordinary sadness. And that is exactly the kind of thing a good doctor can help with. You do not have to figure out which one it is on your own. That was never your job. Your only job is to tell someone and to let them help you carry it. And that brings me at last to the sixth sign, the one I promised you. Here is the sixth sign, the most dangerous of all. And it is dangerous for a reason you may never have considered, because this is the sign that erases the other five. It's when you start to hide. It's when "how are you doing" always gets the same answer. "Oh, I'm fine, I'm just fine," even on the days you are not fine at all. It's when you stop telling your children about the fall, when you don't mention the meals you've been skipping, or the lonely week, or the pills you forgot, or the heaviness that won't lift. Not because you forget to, but because you don't want to worry them, because you don't want to be a burden. I know this sign well because I have caught myself living it. My daughter would call and she'd say, "Dad, how are you really?" And the truth would be sitting right there in my throat, and I would swallow it and say, "Oh, I'm fine, honey, just fine." And here is why it is the deadliest sign of all the six. Think about it. Every single one of the first five signs has a rescuer. The fall has a doctor who could help. The skipped meals, the lonely days, the forgotten pills, the heaviness, every one of them has someone, a child, a friend, a neighbor, a doctor, who would catch it in a heartbeat if only they knew. The sixth sign cuts the wire to every one of those people. When you hide, you switch off the very alarm that was built to save you. The thing you proudly call not being a burden is the very thing that leaves you all alone in the dark with the danger. So let me say the truest thing I know. You are not a burden. You never were. The people who love you would 1,000 times rather get the small call, the one where you say, "I need a little help," than the terrible call that comes when it's too late. Letting them in is not a weakness, my friend. It is the bravest thing you can do, and it is the greatest gift you can give the people who love you, because being trusted with the truth is what love is hungry for. I think about my own daughter and the day I finally stopped saying fine. I told her the truth, that I'd had a fall, that some days felt very long and very quiet. And I braced myself for her to start managing me, to begin the conversation about the home I had been dreading for years. But that is not what happened at all. What happened was that she was relieved. She had felt me pulling away, and it had frightened her far more than any honest answer ever could have. My silence had not protected her. It had worried her half to death. The truth, the very thing I had been so afraid of, was what brought the two of us close again. And the cure for this sixth sign is wonderfully simple. It is one sentence. You pick one person, just one, who loves you, and you tell them the truth. I fell last week. I've been so lonely. I forgot my pills again. I haven't felt like myself in months. You say it out loud to one human being. That single honest sentence reconnects every wire that the sixth sign ever cut. It turns you from a person facing it all alone back into a person surrounded by people who can help. So there they are, the six signs. The fall you're tempted to hide, the meals you've stopped making, the days without a single conversation, the slips you're covering up, the joy that is drained away, and the hiding itself, the worst of them all. Write them down if it helps. Put the list right on your refrigerator door. Read it over once a month and ask yourself, honestly, am I doing any of these? Not to scare yourself, but to catch the whisper while it is still only a whisper, while there is still all the time in the world to set it right. Living alone after 70 can be a free, dignified, beautiful way to spend these years. I have done it for 11 of them, and I would not trade my independence for anything. But freedom is only safe when there is still someone who can see you. So you keep watch for these six signs, and whatever else you do, you never ever let that sixth one win. I am 85 years old, I live alone, and I am still here, still in my own home, still independent. And the single biggest reason for that is that I finally learned to stop saying I'm fine on the days when I wasn't. I keep watch over myself now, the way someone who loved me would. Every morning I open the curtains and I get dressed, even when no one will see me, and I find one reason to use my voice and one reason to step out the door. Not because anyone is making me, but because I have decided that I am worth looking after, even when the only one here to do the looking is me. That is the whole secret, if there is one. You become your own kind witness, and then you let a few good people witness you too. It is never too late to learn that lesson. Not at 70, not at 80, not at 85. I am living proof of it, and so are you. If this helped you tonight, do me one small kindness. Subscribe so I can keep sharing what these 85 years have taught me, and so you'll never miss the next warning before it reaches your door. And then tell me down in the comments two things. Which of these six signs hit the closest to home for you? And who is the one person you are going to be honest with this week? Just say their name. Writing it down makes it real, and your courage might be exactly what gives a stranger the nerve to do the same. I'll be reading every single one. Take good care of yourself, and take good care of each other.